Hello, in this video I'm going to talk about the structural integrity of building blocks. Just how much will these support? And will they collapse? And why is your base collapsing? How can you make your base not collapse? Okay, so first we're going to start with wood. Now here we have a wood frame which has a health of 100. It has a mass of 5 and a maximum load of 40. You can find this information if you click on wood frame, and here we have a wood frame, and it tells you max load 40 and mass of 5. So what you do is you divide the mass into the max load and you get 8, and that tells you it will hold 8 frames that have a mass of 5. So it will hold 8 of itself, and here I've put 8 frames, and if we come to the end and we put a 9th frame, it will collapse. Kaboom. Okay. So over here, when you upgrade it, you get a wood frame. And it also has a mass of 5, a load of 40, and will hold 8. It has a health of 300. So I have 8 blocks here. It is supporting 8 blocks. And if you put a 9th block, it will collapse. Next up we have the reinforced wood frame, which has a health of 500. And my previous video about how much hit points blocks have goes into greater detail on the health of the individual blocks. If you want to check that out, I will put a link in the description to that video. Okay, so this also has a mass of 5, a max load of 40, and will hold 8. And if you put a 9th block on there, it collapses. Alright, so then you can reinforce your wood to iron reinforced wood, which has a health of 800. This one is different. This one actually is treated more like a scrap iron block because it has a mass of 20, so it weighs more. It will hold a max load of 320. Now if you divide, so this is the block, it has max load of 20, mass of 20. If you divide 20 into 320, you get 16. So you would think, okay, it's gonna hold 16. Why are you telling me it's only gonna hold 15? See, my little sign says 15. Why is it only gonna hold 15? Because the game has a limitation where the most that any block will hold is 15. If you, no matter what the block is, it will not hold 16. Okay? Not a single block. So if you put a 16th block on here, the last 2 collapse. And it is different in that respect to the wood ones, because the wood ones, they all collapsed, right? But this one, for some reason, this is different, and it will just collapse. Okay. So now let's move on. This is the scrap iron frame, which has a health of 100. It has a mass of 20 and a max load of 320, and it holds 15. Just like the iron reinforced wood, it will hold 15 blocks, and if you put a 16th block on there, the last 2 are going to collapse. Alright, let's go on. And we have the scrap iron block. That's the scrap iron block frame, or the scrap frame, and this is the actual scrap iron block. It has a health of 1,100, a mass of 20, and a load of 320. So 20 into 320, you get 16, but because of the game limitation, it's not going to hold 16, it's going to hold 15. So if I come down here to the end, I have my 15 blocks up here, and I put an additional block on there, it collapses. Now you can reinforce your scrap iron block. So this is the reinforced scrap iron block, health of 2,100, mass of 20, load of 320. 20 into 320 is 16, but the game limitation only holds 15. Come down here to the end. If I put another block on there, the last two collapse. Now let's move on to Flagstone. Flagstone has a health of 500. It has a mass of 10 and a load, max load of 120. 10 into 120 is 12. So it will hold 12 blocks. And if you put a 13th on there, the whole thing collapses. This is cobblestone. You upgrade Flagstone with cobblestone rocks and you get cobblestone. It has a health of 1,500, mass of 20, max load of 120, and it will hold 12 blocks. And if you put an extra one, the whole thing collapses. Don't you just love watching it collapse? Isn't that pretty awesome? Okay, this is a rebar frame. It has a health of 50. It has a mass of 20 and a max load of 320. And my sign is not displaying everything on here for some reason. There we go. And it will hold 15 blocks. So if you come down here to the end, you put a 16th, and the last two collapses. Now next we got wet concrete, and because it's wet, I didn't have this set up before because it kept drying on me. Okay, so it has a mass of 10 and a load of 120 and holds 12. Well, see, that is different. That is different. That is the same as the cobblestone and the flagstone. So you have to be careful, because you could do something like this, and if you started upgrading it, let me get my repair tool. And see what could happen, because the rebar will hold a lot more than the wet concrete. So you have to be careful there, and don't let the supporting strength of the trussing, I mean not the trussing, but the rebar frame, fool you into thinking that everything is fine and dandy, because the wet concrete doesn't hold as much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It holds 12. And if you put a 13th on there, it all collapses. So once that concrete block dries and you get this concrete block here, has a health of 3,000. Oh, and this has a health of 1,500. I forgot to put that sign on there. This has a mass of 10 and a load of 120 and holds 12, just like this one. Just like the flagstone and the cobblestone. So if you put a 13th block, it all collapses. Reinforced concrete is the same as the concrete. Mass of 10, load of 120. It will hold 12. It has a health of 9,000. You put a 13th block on here, and it all collapses. Then we get into steel. This is a steel block. You get steel by upgrading the reinforced concrete with the steel bars. It has a health of 19,000 and a mass of 20 and a load of 320. That is different. This will hold more. This will hold 15. It's not showing on my sign because I guess it was too long. It will hold 15. So it holds a lot. It holds as much as the scrap iron. So as we can see, iron is more supportive than, so now we got 15 here. If we put a 16th, the last two collapse. Alright, then if you upgrade your steel block to polished steel, it has all the same stats, except that it has 20,000 health. So it will hold 15 blocks. Mass of 20, load of 320. And so I got 15 blocks up here. If I put a 16th on there, the last two will collapse. So early to mid game, if you want something that will go across a long expanse, then, and you can use something called trussing, which you make, you can make after you, I'm stumbling all over myself here. You can make this in the forge out of iron and clay. So you just need a forge to make this. And so I would say this is a mid-game item, but it has a mass of 20 and a load of 320, and it will hold 15. It has a health of 1,000. If you put a 16th on there, the last two collapse. Now, this only has a health of 1,000, so if you're afraid that zombies are going to hit it, you might want to go with this scrap iron, which is an early game item, because you don't need a forge to make this, and it has a health of 2,100 compared to 1,000 for the metal trussing. It has a mass of 20, a load of 320, and holds 15. I did cover this a little bit earlier in this tutorial, but I wanted to give it a special mention, comparing it with the trussing, because this is, I would say, mid-game, and this is early game. And this, of course, will also hold over a long expanse, but this is late game. You need steel bars to make these, so I consider them late game. So that concludes this. We gotta have one more collapse, kaboom, for our amusement before we end this tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please give me a thumbs up, comment below. Don't forget to subscribe for more 7 Days to Die tutorials. I do plan on making more, and I have a playlist on my channel called 7 Days to Die tutorials, showcases, and something like that, you know. It's been a while since I looked at that. But yeah, so I got lots of tutorials. I'm going to make a lot more tutorials. This is the second in my new building series for Alpha 16. So I do hope that has been of help to you when you're constructing your base. And stay tuned, folks. Bye.